not subscribed to our channel, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button as shown above. Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology. In today's video, we will cover a different topic, that is Venus and Sun are going to be together in the sign of Virgo and Libra till the next 2 months, and this is a very significant transit because ideally Virgo is the sign where Venus or Shukra gets debilitated. However, there is a twist in this transit, and let us explore what exactly happens when these two planets, Venus and Sun, come together and stay together for 2 months in the sign of Virgo and Libra. So now on 17th September 2022, the Sun first enters into the sign of Virgo, and then on 24th September 2022, Venus enters into the sign of Virgo, which is considered to be the debilitation sign of Venus. That is, Venus is said to be weak in Virgo. Now, an interesting thing is, the ruler of sign of Virgo is Mercury or Buddha, who is already present in the sign of Virgo. So now these three planets are going to come together, that is Venus, Mercury and Sun, in the sign of Virgo. Now first, let us understand what the sign of Virgo is all about. The sign of Virgo represents healing. It is the natural 6th house in the zodiac belt, and therefore it also represents conflicts, litigations, disputes, diseases. The 6th house is also the house of daily routine and service. So this house of Virgo also represents service. Virgo also represents analytical ability, logical skills, and a craze for perfection. Now let us understand what is the Sun all about. The Sun represents the universal soul. The Sun represents the boss. The Sun represents the father. The nature of Sun is to illuminate, give light, or provide radiance, and therefore wherever the Sun moves, that house is bound to get illuminated. That is, all focus will be on that house. Sun also represents name and fame, power and authority. Sun represents people in power, example CEOs, politicians, the king. All these are represented by the Sun. In today's world where there are no kings, the Sun represents the government. So now let us understand that this Sun is transiting into the sign of Virgo, and as I explained earlier, Virgo represents healing and Sun represents the universal soul, which means that the soul is undergoing a healing process as the Sun enters the sign of Virgo. But is healing an easy process? If you get a disease, to heal yourself, you have to take bitter medicines. In a similar way, when the Sun enters Virgo, which is also the sign of conflicts and disputes, it means the people in power, the government, will have to face a lot of disputes and challenges. And once you face these challenges and rise above them, you will shine in life. So the transit of Sun into Virgo shows that in our life we may face difficulties, we may face challenges, but if we are able to rise above these, then definitely we are going to shine brightly, and we will also get lot of name and fame because of this. So when Sun sits in Virgo, it is going to illuminate the sign of Virgo, which means in the medical sector, in the pharmaceutical sector, because this sign represents healing, there could be new inventions on which light is thrown. Now let us understand the second planet which is present with Sun, that is Venus or Shukra. Now Venus or Shukra represents luxuries, represents comforts, represents the way we view the world. Venus represents all kind of pleasures, all kind of bhogas. Venus represents enjoyments. Venus also represents harmony and balance. Now why does Venus get debilitated in Virgo? Virgo is the natural sixth house in the zodiac belt, and therefore it represents conflicts, it represents disputes, it represents disease. And Venus, on the other hand, represents love, sensual enjoyment, pleasures, comforts. So, when a delicate planet like Venus goes into the sign of conflicts, Venus is said to be debilitated or weak. But now there is a twist here. Mercury, the ruler of sign of Virgo, is also present here with Venus. And Mercury represents logical ability, analytical skills. It also represents small children. It represents the maternal uncle, maternal aunt. Virgo is also the Mool Trikona sign of Mercury, which means it is like the office where Mercury sits, and therefore Mercury is very powerful here. Venus is a friend of Mercury, and therefore Venus gets the support of Mercury. This is known as Nichbhang Rajyog, which means Venus is no longer weak here. He gets the support of a friend like Mercury. Think of debilitation or Nichbhang Rajyog as a process where the debilitation is not exactly cancelled, but it is reduced to a great extent. Think of this as a blind person trying to cross a road. And if he tries to cross that road alone, he might face a lot of challenges. But if there is someone to hold his hand and guide him to the other side of the road, that works out well for him. And that is exactly what happens in Nichbhang Rajyog. So Venus receives Nichbhang Rajyog from Mercury, and therefore Venus has a strong support of a friend to help him through the difficult times. Now another interesting thing is, right now Jupiter is transiting the sign of Pisces, and therefore Jupiter's seventh aspect falls on the sign of Virgo. And remember, Jupiter represents auspiciousness, Jupiter represents expansion, and wherever Jupiter's aspect falls, that sign is always protected. And therefore, Venus receives the knowledge and support from Jupiter as well as Mercury in this time period. So definitely, this is a period when you will find new innovations in the medical sector, in the pharma sector. New cures to different kinds of diseases can come in this time period. But there is one more catch here. On the negative side, what does the Sun represent? The Sun represents ego. Venus represents feminine energy. Mercury represents logical thinking. And Sun represents the government, which means the government will face a lot of challenges with respect to females in this time period. Lot of disputes related to ladies from different communities can come in this time period for the government. Whenever Venus is with the Sun, it represents an ego clash. Venus is also the Karaka for marriage and partnerships, and this being the natural sixth house of the zodiac belt. Partnerships or marriages will come under stress in this time period, mainly due to ego clashes between the two partners. However, if you lean towards Jupiter, Jupiter is an advisor, Jupiter is a guru. And since Jupiter is aspecting Virgo, it shows in this time period, the king as well as you will get right advice, and a lot of conflicts will be reduced because of this. Now remember, Jupiter is in the natural 12th house of the zodiac belt, that is in the sign of Pisces, which represents spiritual waters. It also means that if you meditate more in this time period, if you focus inward in this time period, you are going to save yourself from a lot of trouble. Why do I say focus inward? Because Jupiter is retrograde right now in the sign of Pisces. Saturn is retrograde right now in the sign of Capricorn. Mercury is also retrograde right now, and Mars will become retrograde around 30th October. So, with almost 3 planets being retrograde, it means you have to take a pause, you have to focus inwards, and then you can channelize your energy in the right direction. See, what is retrograde motion of a planet? Imagine you are driving a car in a straight direction and now you want to take a reverse. So, what are you going to do? You are going to slow down a bit, you are going to stop, then you are going to put the reverse gear, and then you will make the car move backwards. So, retrograde planets tell us to pause for some time, look within ourselves, and then go backward. That is, look at the past, introspect, and then plan for the future. So, definitely, this is a time to pause, take a break, look inwards, look at your past life, and then plan for the future. Now, the sign of Virgo also represents debates. Venus represents feminine energy, Sun represents the government, and therefore, in this time, on the media or on news channels, you will find a lot of debates related to women in particular. So, there will be an increase in debates in the media related to issues faced by women in this time period. Now, Sun remains in one sign for approximately 1 month, and therefore, roughly till October 16th, Sun will be in the sign of Virgo and then he will move to Libra. Similarly, on October 18th, Venus also moves to Libra, and Mercury will also move to Libra subsequently. So you can see that these 3 planets will again come together in Libra in the coming months. Now, Libra is Venus's own sign. It represents harmony, balance, marriage and partnerships. And this is the debilitation sign of the Sun. That is, Sun gets debilitated in Libra. Why is this so? Because Libra is the sign of enjoyment. It is the sign of partnerships. It is the sign of love and romance. And when a king falls into the trap of love and romance, he loses his senses, he loses his power, and that is why Sun gets debilitated in Libra. But again, there is a twist now. Venus rules Libra, and therefore it gives a Nichbhang Rajyog to the Sun. So you might now think that the Sun gets the strong support of Venus, and therefore the debilitation is nearly cancelled. Not really. There is a third planet present in Libra in transit, and that is Ketu. Now, what does Ketu represent? Ketu represents living things. Ketu represents suppression. Ketu represents intuition. Ketu represents moving away from material things. Ketu represents the 6th dimension. And therefore, when Sun and Venus come together with Ketu, definitely Ketu causes a lot of problems here. Libra itself is the sign of balance and harmony. Sun also represents our immune system. Sun represents our health. And Venus represents sexual energy, Venus represents comforts and pleasures, and Ketu tries to take away both of these from us. That is, in this time period when Sun moves into Libra along with Venus, Ketu will be present, and therefore partnerships, relationships between different countries will come under immense stress in this time period. Since Sun is the Karaka of immunity and health, and it goes together with Venus and Ketu, there will be an increase in sexual diseases across the world. In general, also, diseases and viruses will increase in that time period, especially when Sun and Venus move into Libra, because Ketu is taking away, Ketu is leaving something, and therefore, when it is with Sun, it takes away our health, it takes away our ego, it also takes away our pleasures and comforts because it is with Venus. And therefore, when Sun, Venus, and Ketu are together in Libra, especially after October 18th, it is a time to be very careful with respect to your own health. It is also a time to be careful with respect to the kind of partnerships you are entering into. Now, on October 24th, we have Diwali, which is the festival of lights. And therefore, at that time, Sun and Moon will be present together in the sign of Libra. And on October 25th, immediately there is a solar eclipse. And therefore, this is a very dangerous time on the world front, which means towards the end of October, that is towards the last week of October, certain events will happen on the global front which will cause a lack of harmony. War between different countries can increase. The Russia-Ukraine war can also take a very dangerous turn in that time period. I have made a separate video on that. You can look at that. So, when Sun, Venus, Ketu are together, the period especially after October 18th is a very dangerous period. The virus can also increase in that time period. Some new virus can come. Some new health challenge can come to people. As well as on the global front, relationship between different countries will not be good, and warlike situations will increase. Also, when Sun is with Venus in Libra, Saturn's 10th aspect will fall on the sign of Libra, and that will be another challenge. So once Sun enters Libra, I see a dangerous time starting on the world front. There will be a disturbance in balance, in harmony, and an increase in warlike situations, problems in partnerships, because Sun, Venus, and Ketu will be together, as well as there will be a solar eclipse around October 25th. So friends, the period after October 18th is not very good, and that is the time when we all need to be very careful. We need to focus our energies on meditation, on spirituality in that time period. Now remember that Virgo is the natural 6th house. So when Sun, Venus are in Virgo, 6th house represents service, and it is a good time to serve orphans, to serve little children, and that will give you a lot of protection and bliss from the malefic effects of this transit. Similarly, when Sun is in Libra, remember Libra is a Devi Sthan and Sun represents soul. So in this time period, channelize your soul towards Devi worship. Worship Devi in any form, that is in the form of Lakshmi, Durga, Parvati, or any other goddess. So if you do Devi worship in that time period when Sun is with Venus in Libra, it will give you a lot of bliss and protection. So friends, thanks a lot. If you like this video, please mark it as liked on YouTube. For any queries, please write to us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com and we'll be glad to assist you. So friends, thanks a lot. Bye. Take care and stay safe.